Step number 3 of 7 steps to quitting your job in 1 to 3 years. Right now, maybe you're a complete newbie in the real estate world, but in this video, I'm going to explain what I call the pre-launch sequence and how to sound like a professional real estate investor, even if you don't have your track record, and so that brokers and investors take you seriously. And it's only going to take 30 days. Hey, I'm Michael Blanc. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, investor, coach, and I'm passionate about helping others become financially free in real estate in 1 to 3 years. And through my investing company, Nighthawk Equity, I control over $300 million of real estate, and I've helped my students acquire over 14,000 units at the time of this recording. So hit that subscribe button and notification bell now so you don't miss any videos in this series called The Ultimate Guide to Financial Freedom with Real Estate. Pre-launch sequence is about developing the minimal skill set and confidence to be released into the world without sounding like a newbie. So I'm going to show you how to do that, how to become a seasoned multifamily investor in just 30 days. So here's your 4-week plan. Week number 1, educate yourself so you don't sound like a newbie. In the first week, you're going to educate yourself. The problem is that most people don't even know where to get started with apartment building investing or raising money. They lack the knowledge to do certain things, or they don't have the scripts and tools to get started. The solution is a good system, a proven system, one that teaches you how to evaluate deals, raise money, and that's a must. If you want to learn more, book a call with us at themichaelblanc.com/call. Let's have a conversation about how we can let you go deep. My main point is to do it so you learn the language of investing, key investing concepts, tactical steps, using the right language. And so don't get stuck with classroom learning. Knock it out in the first week and then quickly move on to week 2. So now that you've completed your basic training, it's critical to become crystal clear about your first deal. And that's what we're going to do next. Week 2, clarify your first deal. All right, in week 2, after you've got some training, some education, what you're going to do is you're going to get really clear about your first deal. The problem is that most people skip the step and chase after deals without a clear picture of what the first deal even looks like. So as a result, they either do a deal that's too small or they pursue a deal that's too big and then fail to do a deal at all. So if we clearly define our first deal, it'll allow us to visualize what that first deal will look like. And if we can visualize that first deal, the more real it becomes. And the more real it becomes, the more likely we're going to be able to achieve that critical goal along our path to financial freedom. So clarity is key when you're pursuing your first deal. So here's the thing about your first deal. It should be both meaningful and achievable. So here's what I mean. Meaningful, and that should allow you to make measurable progress toward your goal of financial freedom. And then typically that means it should be as big as possible. But achievable means that while your deal should be as big as possible, it should also be achievable in the next 12 months. So everyone's first deal is going to be a little different. It's going to require an honest review of your goals and personal financial situation. So for example, if your rat race number is $10,000 per month, then there's a higher chance that you have some savings to invest with. You're more likely to know other people with money to invest. And so therefore, a reasonable first deal might be a 20-unit apartment building, since it's probably feasible for you to raise $250,000 in the next several months. On the other hand, if your rat race number is $4,000, you might have a very limited savings and be less likely to know other high net worth individuals. And if that's your situation, then a reasonable first deal might be a duplex or a fourplex. So if you pick a first deal that is not achievable, what happens is you're likely going to give up because it takes too long. And if you pick a first deal that's not meaningful, it might take you longer than 1 to 3 years because you're buying the deals that are too small. But remember this, the best first deal is one that is both meaningful and achievable in the next 12 months. Where should you invest? In addition to the size of the first deal, the second most important question to answer is where that first deal should be. In general, we're looking for an area that is growing and can achieve a reasonable return. This qualifies areas, for example, like San Francisco or New York City. These cities might be growing economically, but the yields are so low that it makes it difficult for the average entrepreneur to achieve a reasonable return for the investors. Now, what if you live in one of these areas? The ones I'm talking about, maybe they're high growth, but the cash flow is not there. Then the solution is to look outside your area. Now, the good news is it's not that hard. These days, geography should not be a factor or excuse because so much is available online that you complete the work virtually. And if you must visit in person, you can reach nearly every U.S. destination with a 5-hour flight. The only reason you would not go outside your own area is because you want to stay in your comfort zone. And do we grow in our comfort zone, class? I think you know the answer to that. The next question then becomes, how do you find the right area in which to invest? But first, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button, please. How to choose the best areas for multifamily deals with confidence. One of the main challenges when getting started with multifamily investing is where to look. With the market so hot, the investors are looking outside their own backyards in search of deals. But where to look? How do you go about doing it? This is not a small matter because wherever you choose means that's where you're going to spend hours and days looking for deals, building teams, and managing the property. The methodology is to evaluate areas based on the following criteria. Look for areas you like, of course. Start by picking an area you like, or at least wouldn't mind spending time in. Maybe you have friends there or family live there. Maybe it's just an area you like, or you went to school there. So consider also the travel logistics. Is it a place you can reasonably fly to nonstop? For example, I like to be able to get to a location with a direct flight in 2 hours or less. Look for high yield areas. So if you're living on either coast or even some areas in between, then you know that the multifamily market can be red hot. It will be more difficult to find good deals when others are willing to overpay. That means you may have to look in less hot cities, secondary markets, tertiary markets off the beaten path, but maybe they offer higher yields and less competition. So high yield areas are properties that are valued for less relative to their income than other areas. So the cash on cash returns might be higher. Maybe the cap rates are slightly higher as well. So you're looking for high yield areas, but you're also looking for high growth areas. You want areas in which employment is growing. And ideally you want that source of employment to be as diversified as possible, as we saw in the last recession. We want to avoid that. So we want multiple industries. 3 reports to help you find the right area. But there's some reports that you might find useful as you evaluate markets in which to invest. Again, you're looking for growing areas, but you want some data is very useful. One of those reports is the Marcus and Millichap National Apartment Report. Just Google Marcus and Millichap National Apartment Report. It's actually free. You have to put in your email address. It's super detailed on national markets also, as well as regional and local market. And it ranks like the top metropolitan areas in the country by important criteria such as vacancy and rent trends, sales trends, cap rate, employment growth. Another great report that's free is the IRR Viewpoint Report. So just Google that as well, IRR Viewpoint Report. And this plots major cities in what's called a market cycle graph. So the market cycle from recovery to expansion, hypersupply, and back to recession. And it plots the US cities along that graph. And it's kind of cool. It does it for multiple asset classes. So you can look for major cities across the country, and you want to kind of buy in an area that's still on an up cycle for that market. Now, there's also surprising a lot of good number markets in growth and not yet hot markets. In other words, they're expanding. So you want to look for a market that's in a recovery or expansion cycle and avoid properties that are in the hypersupply or recession cycles. The Milken Best Performing Cities Report. The third useful report is the Milken Best Performing Cities Report. So Google that as well. And it ranks cities, 200 large and 200 small cities, based on their job growth. It highlights some of the top ranked cities with a more in-depth profile. This allows you to see where your city ranks in the list, how it's trending. Is it trending up? Is it trending down? If your city is growing and the trend is positive, that might be a good indication to invest there. Where to start? Putting it all together. So this is quite a bit of information, and you might be completely overwhelmed by the thought of picking one area for many. But why not start with the IRR Viewpoint Report? Create a short list from the cities in the recovery or expansion market cycle. Then check out some of the higher yield markets in the Marcus Millichap report. And then cross-reference those with the other report that we talked about as well. And again, there's a lot of really good markets that are growing, especially in the Southwest. It's best to just narrow those things down with cities that you like and you have an affinity to. And then just drill those down. You want to get to 3 to 5 cities and then get that down to 1 or 2 and get that down to 1 if you can. Week 3, analyze 5 deals to gain confidence. All right, so in last week, we tried to get clarity around our first deal. What's the size of it and where might it be? So in week 3, we want to get a jump start on developing the skills to quickly and accurately analyze deals. Once you analyze at least 5 deals, you no longer sound like a newbie. You're able to make offers more quickly and accurately, and your confidence level increases substantially. So if you can do that, brokers will return your phone calls and investors will agree to meet with you. Now, we already covered how to analyze deals in secret number 3, how to analyze deals and make offers in 10 minutes. So go back to that video if you need a refresher. In order to analyze a deal, you're going to need a good financial model to help you. You can build your own spreadsheet, search for it from the internet, or you can purchase ours called a Syndicated Deal Analyzer. Just search Syndicated Deal Analyzer. It's the most widely used analysis tool for syndications on the planet. Find the best one for you. Just make sure, obviously, it's great for analyzing multifamily property. It includes purchase and exit assumptions. It has the ability to create 10-year financial projections. It incorporates investor returns, that's in syndication, and make sure the software is editable so you can customize the model. Again, the Syndicated Deal Analyzer does all those things. But once you have the financial model, let's say using the SDA, it's time to get to work. So here's some ways to get deals to analyze. LoopNet is the first one. Go to loopnet.com, create a free account, and search for multifamily properties. Now, there will not be a shortage of properties on LoopNet. You may need to contact a broker to get the financials. MLS. You can also go to realtor.com, where houses are listed, and find multifamily listings. Quantity over quality. For this step here, for this week 3 analysis step, it is not important how good the deal is or even if it matches your first deal criteria. Find a deal, okay, any deal, and analyze it. Do this 5 times. That's the mission. If you're calling brokers and they won't call you back or send you their marketing package, then find another deal or call another broker. The step is not about calling brokers. It's about analyzing deals, okay? So it doesn't really matter. Find a deal anywhere. Okay, let's move on to the next week. So week number 4, we're going to create something called a sample deal package to raise money. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to find a deal that you already analyzed last week in week 3 that roughly matches your criteria from week 2. And then you're going to create a sample deal package from that. We already covered that in the video, how to create the sample deal package. And that is under secret number 1, raise all the money you need to do your first deal. So refer to that chapter about the sample deal package for refresher instructions for how to download a template. Right, not only is the sample deal package a critical critical tool to help you raise money. It also helps you visualize that first deal. And visualization is used by top athletes and is taught by prestigious coaches like Tony Robbins and many others. Why? Well, because it works. The more you can visualize something, the more real it becomes. And the more real it becomes, the more you believe. And the more you believe, the faster it becomes reality. Congratulations, you've completed the first 30 days of what I call the pre-launch sequence. You've educated yourself so you don't sound like a newbie. You've clarified your deal, the size and location, and you increased your skills and confidence by learning to analyze deals. And then you create a sample deal package to raise money. Now you're ready to be released into the world, into the wild world as an apartment building entrepreneur. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and notification bell now so you don't miss the step-by-step process of how to get your first deal. Let me know your thoughts or questions in the comments below, and I'm going to see you in the next video.